Then YouTube is on, or what?
Yep, YouTube is on. In theory, we're streaming now. Hello guys, this is Micro D here, and today Tebjan Halm. Am I pronouncing your name right?
Very good, yes.
So Tebjan Halm, aka tonfilm, will guide us through with VVVV.Audio. Yeah, we can see you're testing it yourself as well. So it's cool, and I will give the word to him from this point.
Yes, thank you, David. Okay, let's just start. I hope if you want to follow the workshop, I hope you have installed the audio pack. And my plan is to start with the most basic notes and just going to explain all the inputs and what they are doing, and then make a little patch with each of them. And then later on, we are going to build a very simple music patch like this one, where here is a synthesizer who's playing a little sequence. It sounds like this. And over here, I have this drum machine here who's doing a beat. So I'm going to explain how to set this up and how it's all synchronized automatically by the audio engine. But yeah, let's start at the beginning. So I'm going to close this. Here we have a green patch. Here is David. Hey, David. Okay. Let's actually start with something you might know with an audio software. I'm starting Ableton Live. And oh, what's here? Audio engine is disabled, that's okay. Okay. So here we have V4, and over here is Ableton Live.
It's very weird though that the top of your screen seems to be blacked out by the remote desktop. I just noticed it now.
Okay.
Do you have
So
anything in that part? Or can you see my cursor?
I can see your cursor, yeah. Here's the file menu from Ableton.
Anyway, viewers
That's
have
not
to
important.
get used to that then.
Okay. Oh. So the audio engine is a pack you can download at our contributions site. And whenever you want to use it, you have to interface with your sound card. And the central node that is doing that is called Audio Engine. And
Hello? You got muted or something? Oh, Ableton take up the microphone of the sound card. It looks like, yeah, that's a thing when you have to deal with ASIO. No. Yeah, until Tebjan returns with the audio. I don't know what to do though. I can maybe describe the situation to you guys. So ASIO for all took over, and we don't know. Actually, it might have to turn off the turn off that microphone, turn off the entire device in ASIO for all. Ah, there you go. I heard something. There was a little glimpse. And maybe create here a restart audio engine. Okay, that didn't help. Yeah, we spent like a couple of hours yesterday to test this out, and then when the actual thing have to happen, it all crashes.
Back. Okay, now I'm back.
Woohoo! Yay! So
Cool.
it looks like Ableton breaks everything.
But hopefully now it will not do this anymore because it's already disabled.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
I'm still seeing myself here. Okay, let's start this one.
Or wait, you know what was breaking everything? VVVV
No.
audio engine. Isn't it defaulting to ASIO for all?
Oh, right. Oh, yes. Let me...
So now it's broken. Okay, that's it. And then just use that, hopefully. And now restart the audio engine in voice meter.
Check.
There
Ah,
you go.
yes, great.
Okay.
Thank you
Fix it.
for helping me out. Cool. Yep. Okay. Yes, actually, now we can start. So, again, audio engine, the central node that interfaces the sound card. And let's open the inspector. So select the node, Control I, and see what kind of in and outputs the node has. So first one is obvious, play. This is the same as here in Ableton. And if you disable it, it's like stopping the engine. BPM is a global BPM for the whole audio engine, like you have here in Ableton. Then loop is the same as using the transport looper here in Ableton. You can, for example, loop from the first to the 8th bar. And if you then make like this, it's the same as here. So then the time of the whole engine and all the effects and instruments will get the looped time. Here the start and end beat. This is not seconds or so. This is already in musical notation. So if you start beat is 0 and end beat will be depending on your time signature. If you have 4/4, you have if you have 8 bars, it will be 32 beats, for example, that will be an 8-bar loop. Do seek is you can like jump to 0 position or so. And then here the driver is the most important thing. That is actually selecting the hardware output, or in this case, for the workshop, we use a virtual ASIO driver to mix it all together with my voice and so on. And then here you have the sample rate of the whole engine. And then you can tell the driver how many channels, input channels and output channels you want to use. And the outputs are the time. So if we now start the audio engine, then you will see here the time is running. And this is the time in seconds. And then the next output, let's actually attach this and make it always on top. The second one is the beat output, which is a more musical value. It tells you it should now go to 31 and then start over at 0. So it's now looping the first 8 bars, and if we disable the loop, it will go on. And now the beat will depend on your BPM. So here now we have 120 BPM, and if we change this to, for example, 90, we will have less beats because we have less beats per minute. So this is the musical time signature. This is the actual time in seconds. And here another important value. This buffer size tells you the buffers the audio card is using. So if you have a smaller value, you will have less delay to the output. And if you have a bigger value, you will have a little bit more delay, but more security in terms of crackles and stuff like that. And the next outputs, they are telling you the capabilities of your driver. This is how many inputs the driver has. So if you have a professional sound card, it will give you all the input channels of your sound card here, or how many there are, and how many outputs channels you have. And if you are using ASIO for all for your internal notebook onboard card, you will probably have 2 input channels and 2 output channels. And this is how many are actually opened by the driver. So this is the setting you're using here. Okay, so you will always need one of these nodes in your patch to start and stop the whole audio processing. So let's keep it here. And let's have a look in the node browser. If you type VAudio, what kind of nodes are there? So I have 88 nodes. You will probably have a little bit less because here I'm working on my actual develop branch. And there are a lot of nodes already. So the audio engine is about 4 years old now already, or 3. And
I think it was
the
introduced
whole,
like in Note 13 or something.
yes,
Somewhere
so
around there.
3 years. Yeah, there was the first idea, and then I had in the beginning, yes, I want to mention Bion, our user Bion, who helped with some theory, and we developed the idea of making the audio engine similar to our texture effects. So if you know the texture effects, you know there are nodes called sources. If you, for example, here go audio source. The sources, they are actually generating data. So if you have a source node, all the source nodes are generating audio. Then there are filters who process audio, so you have an input and an output, and then there are sinks who take audio and then output, for example, analysis where I use, or like the audio output, then send audio to the sound card, for example. So this is the concept. So you have sources that will be on top of your audio graph, and then filters in between, or effects and stuff like that, and then on the end of your graph, on the bottom, you will have sync nodes. So let's start with a very simple patch. Let's output a sine wave to the audio card. So we'll start with an audio output, VAudio. And here you can input the audio signals, and this pin here can change the channel. So if you have a sound card with 8 outputs, here you can adjust to what channels the audio signals who come in here are routed. So let's create an oscillator. It's a source node. And this node, if we have a look in the inspector, has the usual settings you might know if you're familiar with audio. You have a frequency input, then what kind of waveform you want to generate, and symmetry will is like the wavelength, not the wavelength. If you have a square wave, it will be. We can see it in the oscillator actually later.
Might
this
be
is
helping is the pulse length of a square.
Yeah, it's got pulse length often on synthesizers, right? Yeah.
And does it apply to any other waveforms other than square?
Yeah, actually, you can use it with the triangle,
Oh, nice.
and then morph from triangle to a sawtooth.
Ah, okay.
We can actually have a listen to that in a second. And then you have an FM audio input. It's an audio signal that can frequency modulate the oscillator. So, but let's start with a sine. And I think there's gain, yes. Let's connect it, and we should hear 440 hertz sine wave. Yeah. So, can you hear it, David?
Yeah, perfectly.
Okay, good. And now it's on.
Viewers can hear it as well.
Yeah, now it's only on one channel because this is only one signal, so it's not stereo, it's a mono signal. And here we input it to the sound card, and it just starts to assign the signals incoming here to the actual audio outputs of the sound card. So here we just have one channel. We can maybe, for example, use a select node, select VAudio, and select the same signal 2 times. Then we will have it on left and right. Yes. So this is also an interesting thing to note. All the spreading operations, like for example get spread or zip, they are all there. So you have an endless possibility of audio signal routing. But yeah, let's stick here to the oscillator. Let's change some values. Here, let's make more lower frequency, go 1 octave down. And then we can change the waveform to see how it sounds. So a triangle wave, square wave. And here, if we change the symmetry, You can hear very classic synthesizer-like modulation.
Oh, you can go above and below zero, beyond the 0 to 1 ranges in there.
Yeah, but I don't know what it's doing.
It just probably just clamps it.
Yeah, it's clamped. Doesn't change anything if you go over.
Yeah.
And sawtooth, of course. Don't know if this is changing something. No, but if you have a triangle... Oh, it doesn't work in this algorithm. Maybe here. Yeah. So this enumeration here is telling the oscillator what kind of algorithm it should use to generate the waves. And there are two common ways to do anti-aliasing, which is generating disharmonic overtones if you do a very simple square wave calculation like this. Then you will have disharmonic overtones that are not wanted if you want a high quality audio. So this is kind of very subtle, but if you use filters and you have you're bringing out overtones of the wave, then this setting actually is very important because you're not having disharmonic content. So let's try that actually. Yeah.
Note here that we're using Skype for communication because that was the most convenient. However, Skype does its own audio processing as well, which might damage or dampen these subtle changes. So
oh yeah, actually we wanted to
you.
record. Yeah, let's record here.
Oh yeah, record this stuff.
Maybe I make a clap.
Yeah,
so
and it will
then we can synchronize it later.
Yep.
Maybe we can exchange the audio file with a higher quality later. Okay.
Yeah.
So okay, this is the oscillator. Let's add a filter node. And the filter is taking... let's actually add two nodes to visualize the audio signal. So there are two nodes. One is called oscilloscope or so. No, scope. Just scope. And the other one is called FFT. And take the DX9 VAudio. And this will help us to visualize the audio signal. I'll make a renderer. Bring that over here. And if we now... Yeah, now we can see the wave. And this one should visualize the spectrum. Yes. Okay, let's scale it a little bit. Okay. Now up here you see the waveform, and down here is the spectrum from the audio signal, and here is down here are the bass frequencies, and up here are the higher frequency. And here we can actually see what the anti-aliasing algorithms are doing. So if we hit play, go for example, okay, now you can see here are in the high frequencies you have this kind of lines going down the spectrum, and if I switch, they are much higher. So here you have a lot of kind of noise in the overtones, and here this is a different way of getting rid of this overtone noise, and this is another way. So you can switch between and see what you like more. Okay, so let's see what the filter is doing. Here connected the input here, and then let's make an I/O box here to have the, yes. So the filter is has different modes. The most common is the low pass mode, and low pass means it passes the low frequencies through its output, so it's cutting out the high frequencies. And now if the cutoff, the frequency is 0, it shouldn't pass anything to the output, right? Okay. Very, very low levels. And if we now use a node called lin to frac, which means a linear value to frequency, here we can use that. And if you set it at 1, you have this center frequency. So, and if we go down, it's a convenient node if you want to quickly go into frequency range from just a 0 to 1 value or so, then you can use this node. So let's make a low frequency like this, and connect this to the cutoff. And now if we go upwards, we should start to see the high frequencies coming up. And you also see how the waveform changes from almost a sine wave, having almost no overtones, to getting more and more overtones. Now also another common value is the resonance, and the resonance is actually boosting this frequency the filter is at. So now if I turn this up, the filter will boost the 5000 Hertz. So let's see how this sounds. And we should also see it over here, what it's doing. Turn it up. So we're getting a peak here at 5000 Hertz. And now if we move the frequency down, this peak moves downwards, but it's a bit high, so yes. A very classic synthesizer sound. Let's go back to the sawtooth wave, because it has the most overtones, and you can hear the filter effects And also this filter has two modes. One is the Moog ladder that is trying to emulate a classic analog filter algorithm. And the other one is the transistor ladder, which is also simulating an kind of an electronic filter model from analog synthesizers. And they have different characters. So this one, especially if you use resonance, you get different characters for your sound. The transistor ladder is a little bit quieter than the Moog. The Moog is kind of dirty and edgy. And the transistor is a little bit more clean and smooth. But it's considered to be the better filter. So if you're doing some pads and drone sounds, I think the transistor ladder is more accurate and sounds a little bit more pleasing. So the other inputs here are to change the behavior of the filter. The pole count is controlling how steep the frequencies are cut off, and the mode, high pass, should that's not really working with this filter, I think. So you just get different characters for the filters. Depending on what frequencies you want to hear. If you only want to hear the high frequencies, the low frequencies, or... Yeah. Okay. So that's that. So with those two nodes, you can already build a complete synthesizer. No, wait. One node is actually missing to trigger nodes. It's called ADSR. No, not animation. VAudio. Yes. And this generates also an audio signal that, depending on a trigger, starts. Then we can check a visualization maybe of it. Here. If you trigger the ADSR, you get an attack curve, then a decay curve going down to the sustain. So sustain is actually a level. The level that should be kept as long as you hold, for example, a note on your keyboard or so, and then release. If you let go of the keyboard note, then it will fade out the loudness. And to use it together with this oscillator and filter, you have to multiply the output of the ADSR with the output. Now you can choose. It depends on what you're liking. Usually it's right after the oscillator. So you're feeding the notes from the oscillator into the filter. And that's how usually synthesizers are working. So the oscillator is just always running. It's always outputting its signal. Let's visualize that with a meter. And let's grab this from here. Going from -90 to... Oh. Okay. Here now we have minus 20 dB. And after the ADSR, now it should be 0 because it's nothing is triggered. And now let's trigger it with, for example, it needs an audio signal to trigger the ADSR. Why that's the case, I'm going to explain later, but for now, take a node called V2A, which means value to audio. This node can take a value from V4, just a normal number, and turn it into an audio signal with a constant value of this. So here, 0. And now let's use a bang. Now you see you have a very short trigger here. We can't hear it because it's very short from the bang. So instead, use maybe a press. Yeah. And then we can press it, and as long as I hold it, it will go to the sustain value. One. And it will start with an attack, then go down to this sustain value. It's make this like this. And then if I release it, it will fall off. Like this. So yeah, this is the basics of building a synthesizer. So now you just need a way to control the frequency of the oscillator. And this can also be done by just values or an audio signal. Let's for now use the value, and there's another node called node to frequency. This takes a node number and turns the node number into a frequency tuned with 440 Hertz. I think we can find the A. Yeah, number 69 is the A. And if we connect this here, we have an A, and then so let's just generate random notes on every press. Integer nodes and somewhere in between the MIDI range. So on every press we are generating a random value and choosing a random node. So this will be really random.
And there you have 1950s music concrete ready.
Yes. And if you want to do something more harmonic or a melody, you can, for example, step through some values. For example, 4 notes. Take 32, 32, 36, no, 3 more, 5, and 33, for example. And then on every press, talk edge, counter. we get slice one of the values. Maybe it's a bit low. Let's add 1 octave. Okay, let's use an LFO, for example, to trigger what we just triggered by the mouse. No, not this one. Change. Oh no, we need monoflop because we actually want to have a length in the notes. Okay, this is a very, very simple sequence player. But now, let me explain something a little bit more complicated, because now if this LFO is playing, and if I move the window around, you can see nothing's changing anymore. So the sequence is just stopped because the monoflop isn't evaluating anymore. The LFO has stopped. So actually this is a problem, because on audio you want to have a solid time base and it should always run and cycle. And let me just stop this. And what you're doing if you connect those nodes together is you actually have this node graph in V4, and this is building a second graph that is the audio, the actual audio graph. And so the audio engine is talking to the sound card. Then the sound card is asking the engine to give it some audio content. And then the engine tells the audio out, okay, give me some audio, and then the audio is evaluated. And this is always running. So the good thing is, if you drag the window around, this is an independent thread, so it's always running. But the V4 evaluation here is not if you move the window. But there are actually nodes I made because of this problem that will run on the audio thread. So if you move the window around, they are not stopping what they're doing. And let me get rid of this part. And yeah, let's use a constant node. Go to the filter. And here, actually, let's also get rid of this one. Okay, now we should have a constant sound again. Yeah. Okay, now here this one is changing the filter cutoff. And if I now use the normal animation LFO from before, we should... Okay, let's offset it a little bit. Yeah, so classic LFO effect. And if I now drag the window, it just stops. And to get rid of this problem, I gave most nodes an input also for this cutoff value that is an audio signal. Here you can input an audio signal that controls the same value, so the filter frequency, but with an audio signal, so it's running on the audio thread. Let's stop that for a second. And there is actually an LFO VAudio, this one. And I've also made a map VAudio. And we can now do exactly the same as here. Period. 1 second, 1 second. And then map it to, I don't know, 1.0 to like this. And then connect it to the frequency. And then disable this one and make no offset. So this is now also controlling the frequency. But now V4 just acts as some kind of an interface to the audio thread. So this is all running in the audio thread. And if I now move the window, nothing is processing in V4, but in the background, the whole audio thread is still running, and it's continuing with the LFO effect. So whenever you can, you should use the VAudio LFO to make modulations to the audio graph, because it's not stopping when you move the window.
This might also help when you have something next to the audio engine, like some graphical stuff, very heavy, like running on 30 FPS, and yes, it can compensate for low frame rates, because if you were using the previous version, it might get very choppy.
Yeah, actually, that's true. If we use that again, and then have a main loop, and we go to, for example, 5 frames per second, we just have 5 updates per second. And this is actually updating in audio rate. So whatever sample rate you have here, where is it? 44,000 per second. So this is updating 44,000 times per second. So you see V4 is actually on a very low frame rate and everything here is running fine. So that's important to know. Okay, so what else have we got? Here are, so
I think you cannot disable the 5 frames per second thingy.
Yes, absolutely. Let's have a look at other methods to generate audio, because there's one very interesting node, which is called, let's get rid of the oscillator, wavetable. And wavetable is very interesting because it is not synthesizing a waveform, but you can just input values, and then the wavetable will play the values back in a certain frequency that you can input here. And then you can also smooth the values if you want, but let's generate a table. So how are we doing it? Maybe a random spread, just a random.
With circular spread, you get a sign in theory or something.
Yeah, we could generate a sine wave, yes, with circular spread, good idea. And let's... So this is in samples, so the wavetable, if you want to play back with a frequency of 440, it needs a minimum of, I don't know, let's make 1024 samples. And this should generate a sine wave. Wow. Filter is, I think, generating some overtones. That's very cool. Is there a gain? So here, yeah, the values you input here will be played back as a waveform. And if we go random spread, and we can do a resample. Oops. Resample. Random spread, resample. Spread count, maybe just 4 steps, and then we'll resample to 1024. Now we are generating this kind of wave. Looks like this.
Sorry for anyone with headphones.
Very loud. Yeah, let me make a gain here to control the volume. Here you can use value to audio and multiply the signals with the value. Now it should be silent. Yes. Let's play it back with the lower frequency.
Oh,
maybe.
you know why it's so high frequency? Because the resample is set to like repeat by default.
Ah, wow. Yeah, that's not what I wanted. I wanted to have linear. Ah, yes, no. Okay. Yeah, and if we now change the... Well, here we can generate random waveforms, which look kind of edgy. We could use maybe cosine will be, yeah. Or cubic, which will generate pyramid, yeah. That's very cool. You can just generate endless number of custom waveforms. Here also a little trick. The scope has a buffer size. And if you adjust this to the to something that has to do with the no. Oh no, it just stopped. Maybe it should be higher. Then you can just like catch the waveform, yes. And then so that's an interesting node that you can use to generate like clusters or drone sounds. And if we filter the values after the resample, with, for example, a damper, you can morph between different sounds. And
Sorry,
what's also, yeah?
Abduct AV, so Roy, asking that there is no limiter. I don't know when he wrote this through. Nope, I don't know.
Limiter because his headphones just blew out.
Oh, okay. Well, I can do some sort of limiting on my end as well, but yeah, it's just I think you guys have to bear with this, and we will get to like catchier tunes later on.
We can also, I will record this file here, yeah, and then maybe we can just clean it up and upload it on YouTube again then, without this loud waveforms. Okay, so we have this. We can of course also filter it. And they sound often very cool if you have very low frequencies. Oh, this might be too low. Another very cool thing with VVV is that all the nodes you have here, all the audio nodes, are actually spreadable. So we can play back this waveform multiple times and then generate like interference between two sounds. For example, if I will input here two frequencies, we will have two output channels and they will add together. We can add them together with the plus spectral, for example. Spectral. This will just add all audio signals together like a mixer. So, now let's generate. Let's make actually 4 of these. Okay, now it's very loud because it's adding 4 together. And if we now offset the frequencies of some a little bit, the frequencies will get out of sync and generate those like loading sound modulations. let me just bypass the filter that you can just hear the modulations the waves are doing on their own. Oh, super loud.
Yeah, the filter was dampening down the end and the beginning. When the end and the beginning meets at the wavetable, you know, it has a big cut. So
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, you can use here also a window to get a smoother waveform if you want. Because when the end and the beginning of the waveform doesn't match, then you get those edges here. But sometimes you want it. Can actually go even deeper. And now with the filter, it's really starting to sound like a nice. You could also do a bin size of 2, then we have a stereo signal. That should be stereo, yeah. I don't need to select anymore. Yeah. And if you have good speakers and you turn this up very loud, I think it's kind of an impressive sound. Add some resonance to the filter. You can try the other filter model. What's also always cool is distortion. There's also a node that can do distortion. It is called Wave Shaper. And you have to be very careful with it because it can really blow up the signal. And maybe let's do it after the filter to hear it better. So this is generating some overtones. And there are different ways of doing a distortion. And they all sound different. This one is nice. Okay, I think I'm going to save this patch now, in case somebody wants to download it later. Let's stop the engine. Yeah, okay. There are 2 more nodes that can generate audio signals. one is called, and it was a request from Dottore and from Anthony. It's called IFFT. This one is not yet in the pack that you can download. I just made it 2 weeks ago, I think, or 1 week even.
Is it on
And
GitHub?
It's on GitHub, yeah. If you download this source and compile it, the node is in there.
If you manage to compile it.
Yeah, but it should be easy. It's mostly Nugget packages. But yeah, what I wanted to say, it's the inverse operation of this node. So this node is taking an audio signal and it generates here, down here, this frequency spectrum. And you can also do the process in reverse. So you give it a spectrum and then the node generates an audio signal from it. So let's make a spectrum with a, I don't know, for example, a random spread, and then let's make also 1024 frequencies. And then we can use a greater node to generate a spread with some values set to 1, but most of them should be 0. If you have a look here, so we have many zeros, as you can see here, many zeros, but some ones, and the ones will generate a frequency in the audio, and the lower, so starting at 0 here, will be low frequencies, and the higher values up here will be higher frequencies. So let's put that in the real data. Imaginary, you can leave that at 0. It doesn't. Gain is also the loudness. Let's turn it down.
Also, Sune Petersen asked that will the FFT nodes output the imaginary part at some point?
Yes, of course. There's this. He means this one, I think. Oh no. FFT sync. This one. It just outputs the real part. Yeah, just this one.
Yeah.
But it could also output the imaginary part, and with that you will be able to almost perfectly reconstruct the output from here. But yeah.
Is it served from the library, or it's just something which is not exposed to a pin, or is it requires more work?
Yeah, it's just not there as a pin. It's a 10-minute action to add the imaginary output.
Ah, that's nice. That's very nice. All right.
The algorithm I'm using is, of course, generating the imaginary output. Okay, yeah, let's connect it here. No, actually here. And see what it's doing. Gain. Okay, sounds very crazy because we have a lot of frequencies. Oh, we need to select again to have it stereo. Yeah, and if we now change the random spread, we will have a different distribution
cool.
of peaks. And yeah, of course, you can also dampen this again.
Also, while we have the pause, Randa Vasquez asks, pardon my ignorance, what is the imaginary part for?
If you do the Fourier transformation, it's actually using complex numbers, and the output you see here down is called, it's the magnitude of the actual output. So you have for if you take this up here as the audio buffer that is transformed into this, you will get a sequence of imaginary numbers. And what you see here is just the length of the imaginary number is a two-dimensional vector, so you can view it as a two-dimensional vector. And what you see usually in the spectrum is just the length of the vector, but it also has a direction. And if you want to reconstruct the audio signal from the Fourier transformation, then you need both the direction and the length of the vector to reconstruct it properly. I hope this answers the question. So it has to do with the Fourier transformation. You can, of course, read it on Wikipedia what it's actually doing. Okay, let's see how it sounds if you damp it. Yeah, some Stockhausen-like music. And if you don't want to have the high frequencies, you can, of course, get rid of them. With a filter.
Synapse says that the imaginary part corresponds to the phase of the frequency, right?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
You can calculate it from that. Approximate.
Yeah, it's actually the Fourier transformation is just taking a lot of sine waves here. Actually, each value is the loudness of one sine wave, and then the second part is like shifting the sine wave in time a little bit forward or back. That you can. Yeah, we can also input some stuff here and see how it sounds. Let me just generate another random spread with phase values. Now it sounds out of filters. Yeah, and if you shift the sine waves in time to each other, you will get different interference patterns between the sine waves, and it will change the audio overtones. So let me go here. We should only also use the values from... Okay, this was kind of wrong. We have to multiply this by this to set everything to 0 where we don't have a real part. If you don't have a real value, we want to set the phase to 0. Okay, like this. Yes, sounds better. And if you now change the phase, should actually sound a little bit different.
I can see it's a very subtle change.
Yeah. Maybe the values need to be higher. Yeah, they have to be higher. Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Okay, that's the imaginary part. Okay, then... Oh, we still have this distortion here. I think this was also like generating a lot of high frequency Yeah. Now you see it's much more clean, the signal. We had it, listen to it all distorted. Okay. Okay, last note I wanted to show that can generate audio is called granulator, which is also just there since 1 week. And this node can load an audio file and then doing something very similar to the wavetable node. It just takes a very little part of the audio and then loops it to also generate something like the oscillator or like a static sound. Let's load an audio file. It's actually not typed, this VVvox file name. You can just use any audio content, should be a WAV file. So like this. This is actually a whole track, and if we now connect this to the output, let's volume. Okay, we don't hear anything because we don't have set the length. So this granulator is taking so-called grains, and the grains have a length in seconds. Let's have like here 30 milliseconds. Then we play back the grain in a certain frequency. Let's play it back with 110, for example. And this is interesting there. Okay, now you should hear something. Yeah. And now this input here is also in second. With this input, you can now shift this grain around in the audio file. Here, okay, here is I think it's very empty, the sound file, and if we go half a second, there's something coming, like a drum sound or something like that. And with this granulator, you can kind of extract this the timbre of the sound at this point in the audio file. Let's go to something in the middle, like 1.5 minutes. We're in the middle of the sound file. And depending on the sound file, you can also generate a lot of very interesting and different sounds with it. Then if we change the length, we will get more or less audio content from the file. So this is a very small part of the file, and here we're getting a bigger part of the audio file. And then frequency, of course, is if you want to play it back fast or slow, you can play it back it really slow. Sounds like this.
I wonder how much length does it take to get a copyright sue from copyright act from YouTube?
I think it's like 4 seconds. I think.
Okay.
So now you're getting problems with the lawyers from the artist.
If we set it to one hertz, okay.
Yeah, if you set it to 1, now we have 4 seconds. I think now we should actually hear the 4 seconds.
Oh yeah. Now we are getting troubles from the content ID thingy.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Oh, that's actually a windowing going on. So it's trying to fade in and fade out the start and end of the grain. So yeah, if they correspond perfectly, like we have a length of 4 seconds and a playback rate of a fourth of 1 second, then you hear the actual audio content. Yeah. And if we now take only 2 seconds, it should play back in halftime, probably, yeah? Yeah, now it's halftime. And we can do the same here if we... No, if we now 0.5, it should be double time. Yeah. Yeah, but usually you are using it to generate also like pads or synth sounds. So you have a frequency of, I don't know, 4 hertz. And then a very short time window in the file at 1 point. And then what's also interesting is that you can randomize the start position a little bit. So it will do a very, let's find quite a sound part, like this, for example. And then if you randomize the start position, you will get a little bit of variation in the sound. And of course you can filter this again. And yeah, it also sounds kind of cool. Okay, yeah, last but not least is Wave Player. Waveform, no, what's it called? Player.
It's called file stream.
Maybe, yes. Yeah. And it's like the normal V4 file stream. You can take this file and just play it back.
Also play the audio engine.
Oh yeah. Yeah, this will just play back a sound file if you have to do, I don't know, installation, background sounds or so. Okay, that's about it for generating audio. And are there any questions on YouTube or anything I might have missed? Or anybody wants to know? You can also open the YouTube page. Ah, that's me, in delay. Dial up modem sound. Yes. Okay.
All right, so we can go onwards, I think.
Yeah, let's do some audio analysis, maybe. You've already seen here the FFT, which is extracting the frequency spectrum, and the scope that is just displaying the current samples as a as a waveform. And then there's a node called gist. And that node is also very new upon request from Dottore, who was using this library. The library is called gist for most of his music visualizations for orchestras or other projects. And I have to admit that I don't know what the output actually means, but we can just visualize the signals.
I tried to look them up on the internet, and on the website of the guy who made this node is, well, not this node, but the library. But it's not really telling which, it is telling what are those features, but not telling which of the array output is which feature.
Okay. You have to find it out on your own. Maybe I think maybe I have to add an output that is, I think in the code it's actually there. And you can... What is this? This should also be an FFT output, or maybe RMS is the... Oh no, isn't this the... No. Okay, let's maybe use the sound file, convert it to mono with the plus spectral, and see what's coming out of the gist node. We can maybe use a queue.
It might also have to listen to the file while you're watching its data, so you can have a guess what it's about.
And then we can watch the values and check.
Yeah, meanwhile you're grabbing I/O boxes. Shout Semak asked you, is it possible to add wave shaper on the file stream? I responded, if you mean directly connected after the file stream, yep, absolutely. But he also said something like frequency modulation, add one up on the other. And to be perfectly honest, I vaguely can guess what he means, but I have not sure idea.
Okay, let me check in a second. I'm just building up the visualization here. Yes. Oh, this is minimum maximum. Okay, let's play. Okay, it's kind of maybe the loudness, the first one.
Oh yeah, and they have crazy different ranges. Like one's going up to like 10,000s, multiple 10,000s, and other one is inverted, also to jazz.
Oh yes, this kind is very high. Looks kind of corresponding to the music. I think they are actually not so bad analysis values of the music. Maybe.
You can generate great animations by VJing with that.
Yeah. They're getting higher and higher, the value ranges. Like 10,000 or 20,000 or whatever. Oops.
that one is like 50,000. The previous one.
Yeah. This is kind of a threshold thing, maybe. Okay, actually worth to check out GIST, and it also has a spectrum. Let's see. Yeah, very similar to the FFT, I think.
So go back a little bit here because there were some text boxes. Oh, here!
Ah.
There you go. There you have the feature names.
Yeah. Okay, RMS is just the average energy of the music. Peak energy might be the maximum level of the last sound. Zero crossing rate might be a value that corresponds to if you just have a sine wave or a single instrument like a cello or so. I think it can detect the actual frequency of the note that is played. Spectral centroid might be how bright or dark the overall sound is. Crest, I don't know. Spectral flatness, I think how noisy or not noisy the signal is. Energy different. Sounds interesting. I think they are very cool values that you can use for audio visualization. And also the reason why you should use the audio engine with the ASIO driver is that if you use ASIO for all, for example, and make a small buffer size, like a buffer size of 256 values, is that you have a very, very short delay between, for example, if you're VJing, between the sound that you're getting from the audio and the actual conversion to values that you can use for animation. So the ASIO cards are much, much faster than if you use the audio in from VVV, the D-Show 9, that is using the Windows drivers. And they also, they usually have a very bad delay, so it's much worse than using ASIO for all with VAudio.
Also, Sune Petersen mentioned the spectral centroid is the center of mass of the frequency spectrum.
Yes, okay. So it will tell you how, so where the most frequencies are in the spectrum. Yeah,
yeah, I can understand that way as well.
And yeah, I think, have I missed anything? What else is there to tell?
Maybe go talk about the buffer, not the get buffers thingy, to extract the exact values from the actual buffer there.
Ah, yes.
What's in the audio buffer?
In here, in the scope, I think. So the scope is what you see over here. So let's go to this more to see. So here the upper part of this visualization just outputs the audio samples. And to make this kind of audio animations that you often see in Winamp or so, you use the get buffer node. It takes an audio input and it takes the last, in this case, 809 samples, then it resamples the buffer to a spread count that you want. So if it's higher or lower than the spread count you actually want to have, then it's going to resample the last 800 samples to this spread count, and then outputs it here. And because there are 2 channels incoming here, and the spread count is 512, the output is 1024. And I think here is the scaling, and then here a visualization of the buffer. With this node, you can get the actual audio samples from the audio engine. Okay, what else? Of course, a big topic. I'm not going to save this patch because it's kind of messy. Let me just clean it up. I save it. So a big part of the audio engine was to implement a convenient way to use VST effects and plugins. And this is because there's so much stuff out there in the VST world, and I think anything you can imagine, any audio processing unit is there as a VST plugin. And to use a VST in the audio engine is very simple. You just take a VST host, and now here after our stereo mixdown, so this is now like our master channel. We can, for example, if you really want to get professional audio quality, you will have some kind of mastering effect on your output. So let's open one here. So this one is actually a very nice mastering effect. And this takes care that the output signals you are generating is not clipping. So it looks little bit ahead in the audio and then reduces the peaks of the audio, and this gives the listener the feeling that the music is actually louder, because you can turn up the volume before this limiter and it will just take the peaks down but leave the quiet parts louder, and then you have the overall feeling that the music is louder. And this is used like crazy in music production, so it's getting louder and louder and louder. If you want to know about it, it's called loudness wars, and you can find very funny articles in the internet about it. But if you want to take part in the loudness war, you have to use something like this. And then yeah, let's generate some content here with, for example, some drum VST. File name. Here.
I can see you collected all the free VSTs in the internet.
Yes, yeah, all the good ones, of course. Okay, so this is kind of a loop player I found on the internet, and let's actually stereo already, but let's use a plus node here as our mixer. And give it some input channels, like, I don't know, 5. So now the drums go here. And after the mastering, we will visualize our output. Okay, and I think we can now start. Yeah. Now the cool thing is that all the plugins you are using and loading, they will all be synced to the kind of transport that you set here. If you want to have a faster, so that you can set the BPM here, 90. Okay, let's get that to now. And let's generate some, I don't know, some synth sounds. Haven't tried them, but this should be a good synth, I think. Oh, I haven't registered. Maybe it's going to be outputting noise. This one should be free, yeah. Let's add the synth here. And now for the synth we need to generate some MIDI notes, and there is, I think, MIDI node join. Yeah. But I think there's also MIDI sequence, right? Yeah. This is kind of what you have in an Ableton or so. If you adding a little loop here and play that back, it's actually the same thing. So here you have a length, and then you can add in some notes here. And this node is doing actually the same thing. Here we have a length of 4 beats, and here we can input some positions of the notes. Let's use a vector. Positions 0, 1, 2, 3, just on every beat. Oh, let's make 1.5 and 3.5. Yeah. And here the notes. I don't know, 41. 2 more. The same note for now. Velocity is how loud it is. Let's have a strong. This is what you set down here. How strong the note is played. This is the velocity. This is this one. And then the length of the note. Of course, that's also important. This is this value. It's also in beats, so here we have a half beat. I'm putting random notes. And channel 0 should be fine.
Uptook TV, Roy asks, what about MIDI program change? I haven't seen that though yet.
MIDI program change. I think there's MIDI join also.
Oh yeah, you can create your own.
MIDI VAudio. MIDI raw, I think. Yeah. This one, you can just input whatever MIDI data you want. So data 1 and data 2. And that is the kind of MIDI message you want to send. And then here, controller number and controller value. And here I think you can look up in the internet what kind of values generate which kind of like control change or program change or whatever. So with this node you can generate all kinds of MIDI data. Yeah, channel length is 4. Are they too long? I don't know. It's doing something. Yeah, pretty random. Somewhere I have a patch that is already using this one. Monosynth. Oops. Let's do it in another way. There's a very cool. It's taking too long here to generate MIDI sequences. Very cool plugin called Mini Host. I think this one. Yeah. And this is kind of a modular audio engine as well. And here you can generate a piano roll and then load one of your plugins. One, yep. And then here in the piano roll. Wow. And if you now play running, yep. Now hit play here. Should also run. And we can program notes here. Sounds like a bass sound. So what I wanted to show is that this is now synchronized with the other plugin, this one.
And also, can you get the MIDI out of the VST instruments in VVVV?
Yes, you can also. Funny thing is that it's not working with this one, and I have to check why this is the case. But you could do like this, and then in VVV You also have a MIDI events output. Where is it? Here. That in theory you could route to another VST. And I haven't found out why this plugin, this mini host, is not sending its MIDI output to VVV. So I haven't got the data. I have to check why this is the case.
They might have a bad implementation, though.
Yeah, maybe they have to set some flags or so.
Yeah, maybe they have a pretty interesting behavior when you have to also turn this on to have that.
Yeah, maybe it's that it's a loop or so. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So that's that. Okay, VST is very handy, and also the VSTs are spreadable. I think this is one of the most powerful features. I think there's a version of this drummer with 16 outputs.
We are getting some crackles.
Yeah, something is clipping. I think this one is. I don't know why.
It was rather sounded
here,
like what you call it? It was rather sounded like buffer overflows, underflows, or whatever they are called.
Maybe. Okay. So with less outs, 16 out, 1 out. No. Anyway, I can also show this without the sound. It's not so important. If we now add the VST host in between here, so this drum machine kind of outputs every sample it has in a separate stereo channel here. So you have 32 audio signals coming out. And if we now connect this to for example, let's load an effect here that is stereo. Like simple. Maybe this one has a good EQ. Via EQ, yes. Okay. If you now open this, we can see that we see the plugin, but here over here you have this number, and it tells you that there are actually 16 instances open of this plugin. So you have 32 input channels, and this plugin is stereo. So there are 16 instances of this plugin open now, and you can switch through them with those little arrows here. And you can set individual EQing curves for all the stereo channels. So if you switch to another one, so they're completely individual.
Yeah. Also, as I noticed, you can set the bin size of an input channel. So, for instance, if you have like a surround sound VST, you can set it not just to stereo but anything else.
Yeah, if you change the bin size here to for a plugin that has 6 inputs for surround processing or so, then you can set bin size to 6, and then you get the input divided by 6 instances. Yeah. Okay, and now another important thing to work with VSTs is that, for example, if you want to change the gain from V4, then most of the plugins report a parameter change, and you see that here. So the last parameter that you are changing, here the frequency or the gain, is shown here. And if you now press expose, you see the plugin is then, so the VST host node is generating an input pin for this value. and it has set it to 0 for some reason. And now this one is changing the gain value in the VST. And now it's doing this for all instances. So all instances. And of course here you can spread the value as well. If you now want to have 16 individual values, input 16 values. And then this one will be for the first instance, number 0, this one. And then the second instance of the VST will be this one, and so on. And you can do this for another value if you just want to control the frequency as well. Move the parameter, press expose. And here we have the same. Yeah. And this one changes. First instance, yeah. Okay, if for some reason the plugin is not reporting its changes, and you don't get a display here of the parameter that you just used, you can press on info, and then you get a list down here of all available parameters. So for each band, frequency, gain, and bandwidth. So you can also, for example, gain of the first band, expose it, or also delete it. So here you can just enable and disable it for all the parameters that you use. This is just a shortcut for it. So yeah, going back. Yeah, I think that's it working with VST. So it's actually, I made a compilation of the best free plugins on the VVV side. If we go here to contributions, I think here I have a lot of recommendations of a sampler that you can use to playback samples. This one is also cool. Synthesizers, cool free effects, and what they're doing. So here you can learn about what EQs are doing, what compressors are doing. Reverb is also very important. And of course limiting in the end. And there are actually plugins that have a whole sequencer system in there, like this tamper or the mini host that you just saw. Yeah, so that's how you work with VSTs in VVV. Yeah, and I think that's it from my side. If there are not any more questions.
Maybe it's a good idea to show that demo what we tested the thing with. I think that that was cool.
Cancel. The one with the synth, or
the one with the synths and the drums.
The very first patch I had open when starting the workshop, or later.
I think
I had this one. This is a little synth programmed in V4. It's using the ADSR, the 2 oscillators, and an ADSR for the filter as well, to have filter curve for the frequency of the filter. Like this and this, yeah. And here I think I have also loaded this thing. So, and they are also synchronized. So if you use this sequence nodes, they are of course also synchronized to the BPM and the beats of the audio engine.
Yeah. What's this value sequence here?
This is it also has a length, and then it generates an audio output with a length. So for four beats, and you can set event start points with this. And then here are the values it is outputting as an audio signal.
Oh, so it's like the MIDI equivalent of it.
Mm-hmm. So here it's the frequencies, note frequencies. Actually, those four sequences.
Very nice.
I think here also is a mastering effect. Ah no, here's a delay. Yeah. For the synth. Very classic effect.
Also, like about the VST still, how does it saves your data with the patch, or how does that work?
Ah yeah, that's an interesting point. Yeah, thanks for reminding me. Let me open another one. I think this one was a big patch I made yesterday. Was just trying stuff out.
Oh yeah, we were trying to make like audio input from YouTube and things like this.
Yeah. And here I also have a kind of this limiter, and you see when it's limiting stuff here, up here. And here you really can turn up the volume without clipping, but I think this...
And you can make a mastering like how everything sounds like nowadays.
Yeah.
Especially in advertisements.
Yes. And here's a reverb, actually, I think, yeah. On the synthesizer. And if you see the values here changing, then the audio engine automatically saves all your settings with from the... Let me just switch it off. All the settings of your parameters that you use here. It saves it automatically with the patch. So if I now save this patch, the next time I open it, the VST settings are the same. If it's not doing that, then you have to press this button Save, which also collects all data from the plugin and saves it into the before patch. I think up here there was one. Not in use, not in use.
Saves it to a configuration pin, if I can recall well.
Yes. Here, this one.
So you can even copy configurations from patch to other patch and things like this.
This one is working. And yeah, there's also an audio input here, just as I saw it. If I now play,
yeah, that's my voice there.
Yeah, this is David.
Hello.
And we can send now David to to the reverb.
And have a huge feedback on Skype and everything.
Yeah, let's try it. Where? I think you're very loud now.
Nah.
No, don't hear it.
Whoop, 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 whoop. Are you get slicing the... I guess
The
wrong one.
count.
I
Oh,
guess like
yeah. Okay, it should be 2. Offset
yes.
2.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yup, yup, yup. This is crazy.
Let's have it a big room size.
Whoa.
Okay. Yeah, and
This is
the
biggest version of
wow, very loud.
that was pretty loud.
Yes.
Just to mention. Okay, time is up.
Jack. Yeah.
Okay, so just to mention though, we are affecting my voice over the internet, so that's also kudos. Micro D mic
Micro D on the mic.
What? Micro D mic
On the mic.
micro dub. The mic, yes. Jamaica man. Also, yeah, Sunat Peterson said that can VAudio sync to MIDI clock? I guess he means with the engine.
No, no, not yet. Yeah, that would be cool. I see that, yes, but no, I haven't looked into that.
There is actually a SMPTE timecode reader one, and you can actually read out the BPM and do some hacky things to sync it. I think. At least I think I remembered I tried at some point.
Yeah, you can from a clock signal you can extract the BPM, and then try to with do seek, then restart the engine, also to be synchronized to an external time source. Yeah.
Or even better, Ableton Link. But I think that's just so proprietary thing. I mean, Ableton have a very crazy policy on communicating with other softwares. So they are like, well, we don't care. You just patch it in Max, and that's it.
Yeah. But I think the Link SDK is open. It should be possible to implement it.
Oh, is it? Okay, that's very nice.
But I think you still have to get a license and you have to apply as a developer at Ableton, and then you get a license to do it, maybe.
Oh.
Okay, are there any questions from the listeners?
Roy said grain drum loop sequence, which I don't know what the... There are lots of iOS apps that have the link, I guess, for Ableton. Yeah. Also to mention, I have a couple of modules extending VVV.Audio.
Yeah, right. It's on GitHub, right?
Yes, it's on GitHub or through VPM you can get it. But they don't have help patches, and they also have other dependencies, which is taken care of by VPN, by the way. But still, that's why I haven't pushed it to VAudio yet.
Here, yeah. Notes and modules, BPM counter. Wow.
Oh yeah, that's a very edgy one. Or not edgy, but it's a dodgy one. So it uses that audience of BPM detector thingy, which requires a license. It's not the license is not up there, so you can't use it. just in trial mode, which pops up a window and then it works for a limited amount of time. So it's not really useful if you don't have a license. But you can't get one, so you basically have to hack out from several sources, which I'm not mentioning here.
Yeah, here are some modules. Advanced audio analysis, I think, and MIDI.
It's just waiting FFT for getting the peaks out without
Oh, note to frequency is actually there already.
Yeah, I was created that before it was there, and it's now.
Okay. Note to frag.
Yeah.
A node name is also there. Could also be interesting if you want to know what kind of node there actually per number is. So you can here have a input the number and then see what musical note you have. D, F, F sharp, G sharp, and so on.
Oh yes. Also, Mark Ritter asks, just out of interest, is there a reason why VST plugins don't use the node factory mechanism?
It's just that I've never found the time to implement a factory for it. So yeah, they're actually on the GitHub repository. I think there are like multiple issues to just set a VST folder and then you will have all VST nodes here in the node library. I just didn't find the time to do it.
I thought it might be. I don't think so. It is necessary to have the node factory because VVVV has already a node factory for VST, and it uses direct show, and it's not really good. So
It might be confusing between the two. Yes.
Yeah, and also
I mean, then
you can now select it dynamically and things like that.
The nice thing is that you see the actual name of the effect here. Then it's not all called a VST host, but you would see that this is stylus, called stylus. Would be kind of making patches clearer.
Yeah, but yeah, you can maybe one can implement a description after this. Like there would be a description here, and it would just
automatic
tell you the file name.
But like send and receive nodes. Yeah.
It's kind of a first world problem anyway.
Yes. Any other questions?
Well, we need to wait like 10 seconds to get to it and people to type. Ableton only license link to iOS apps. Okay, so
what? Okay.
Yeah, it's like everything. Probably the investors going like, everything is on mobile now. Let's just support that. We don't care about anything else. It's probably the same guys who are also telling every 2 years that, or every 1 year that PC or desktop PC is dead. Okay, I think if you feel like concluded, do you feel concluded? Yeah. And there are not questions popping up. I think we can end this workshop. I was quite good. So thank you very much.
Maybe.
Yep.
Yeah. One last thing. I don't know if it's interesting. It's actually very easy to develop the audio nodes, but
yes. I wanted to ask about that. I don't think so that actually developing VAudio nodes is in the time scale of this workshop.
No, I don't think so.
It would be good to have a second one which concentrates on how to develop your own node in C#, maybe in Visual Studio, or even better with the implemented
dynamic.
Yeah, the dynamic plugins. How does that sound?
Very good. Yes, we can do that.
Woohoo!
Suneb opened an issue. 1 hour ago.
What?
And just, of course, yeah. Here's the code on GitHub if you want to have a look at it. If you go into source folder, and there, it's pretty tidy. In the signals, there's the actual stuff. And yeah, if you're interested. And you can, of course, always ask me, write me an email, or hit me up on Skype or on Facebook, whatever, if there are any questions.
Yeah, everyone says, bravo, thanks, great stuff, and applaud.
Yes, my pleasure.
As soon as said, I get inspired by watching.
Cool.
That was the issue on GitHub, probably.
Yeah, let's maybe we can show one last thing. Sune actually made a very cool project with VAudio. Earlier I showed the wavetable node that takes values and generates a oscillator waveform from it. And he took this node and generated procedural images with V4, and then used Pipette to sample, I think, a line out of the texture from its output, and then used the data from the pixels to generate the waveform, and it sounds really cool. Maybe I can find it here. It's called Deuterium. No. Videos. I think it's on...
He has his channel here.
Yeah, but I think it's on Vimeo.
Oh, okay.
Here's the one, but on Vimeo there's a very good version of it.
Sune, you would help though if you link it
There it is.
into the YouTube chat as well.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there it is.
Can you hear it if I play it back?
Nope.
Oh.
You know why? Because we have the ASIO inset driver of voice meter, so you probably have to go through VVVV, or you turn it off in voice meter.
Maybe if we close it here, and then I think it's incoming here. Maybe I have to route it to here.
It's not incoming at all. Or just have your default playback device changed.
Wait, let's check
it's not
it.
Playing. Oh, there you go.
So let's have this as the end of the workshop.
Nice.
Yeah, you can see the audio is very, very close to the output.
Yeah. Yeah, it was very, very loud. Okay. Alright, if someone interested, he can watch it. I will link it to the description. And it's amazing. Just not watch it with headphones because you might go deaf. Thanks for watching, guys, and
thank you.
Thank you very much, Tebjan, to host this workshop.
Yes.
Have a nice one. Wait a second, I have to find the stop button here. Okay. Cheers, guys.
Bye.